Hello everyone, my name is Anna Cardinal and I'm a civil engineering student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Today I'm going to be talking about how to solve the problem of falling chairlifts that use the riblet insert clip attachment system. First, I'm going to discuss my problem statement. Then I will talk about how the riblet insert clip system works and what can be done to prevent future accidents across the approximately 90 lifts in use today. Specifically, I will discuss the alternative solutions of redesigning the center pole halo, increasing the frequency of inspection, and, of course, doing nothing. Then I will evaluate my options based on a set of metrics that I will discuss later and come to a conclusion about what system is best. This past ski season, 2 different chairs using the riblet insert clip system fell off of their cables. If you remember from my previous presentations, in January of this year I had the unfortunate experience of seeing one of these accidents while I was on the lift. The chair was swinging back and forth quite a bit. It hit the halo as designed, but then the arch feature of the triple chair, shown on the slide, caused this collision with the back side of the halo to induce a large twisting motion of the chair, which caused the riblet insert clip to come out of the cable. The other incident occurred due to a missing or broken cotter pin, according to the investigation conducted by the 49 Degrees North Ski Resort. These 2 incidents drive the problem statement of what needs to be done to prevent these incidents in the future. Now I will discuss the riblet clip assembly system. The riblet clip is inserted into the detension cable. The tension is reapplied, so the cable snaps closed around the clip, and then the chair is slid onto the assembly and secured with the cotter pin, as can be seen in the photo on the slide. The metrics that these 3 options will be weighed against are short and long-term costs, service time, which focuses on how long the lifts would need to be out of service in order to implement the idea initially, maintenance needs, so what needs to be done after initial implementation, and finally, the impact on the consumer perception of safety at the ski hills. The first option that I will be discussing today is redesigning the center pole halo in such a way that the chair would be unable to catch on the back of the halo and twist, which may have caused the failure in the chair at Indian Head. One of the halos currently in use is pictured on the slide. For this method, the short-term costs are relatively high, as the cost of implementation and the materials necessary would be the biggest expenses. However, I feel that this change would only need to be made on the triple lifts and other lifts that also use this arch feature pictured on the slide, and this would help keep the short-term costs a little lower for each individual hill. The long-term costs for this option are quite low, as once they are implemented, the halo should not require any more maintenance costs than the halos currently in use. The service time would also be low, because these changes could be implemented in the summer months, when the lift is not in use anyway. And then, connecting to my earlier point about long-term costs, the maintenance costs would also be low, or at least not any higher than the current halos require. I also believe that this change would not only make the lift safer, but could also improve the safety perception of the riders, as specific action would be taken to correct the problem that caused the chair to fall at Indian Head. Next, I will discuss the option of increasing inspection frequency. So the next potential solution of increasing inspection frequency for the riblet lifts is based on the idea that most riblet clip lifts are pretty old, and although they have proven to be very safe over time, more frequent inspections may be necessary as the lifts get older. The American National Standards Institute has standards for implementation, maintenance, and design for all types of chairlifts, or aerial ropeways, and states also have their own regulations within those guidelines. For example, I looked more into the laws in Michigan, where the Indian Head lift fell. In Michigan, the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs has the Ski Area Safety Act of 1962, which specifies that the lift must be inspected upon implementation, and then once every 12 months after that. This act itself has not been amended since 1995, according to the Michigan Legislature webpage, and the section on inspections is in its original 1962 form. And I feel that in addition requiring inspection twice a year, with one of those inspections occurring during the ski season, could be beneficial in preventing accidents in the future. It is important to note here that, according to Ken Backlund, a longtime employee of ski resorts using riblet clip lifts, the clips are moved in the cable to prevent too much wear as the whole system is inspected each summer. So there are efforts in place, of course, to keep these systems safe. The short-term costs of this option are pretty low, as nothing new would need to be implemented immediately. The longer-term cost of this additional inspection, due to the need to pay people to inspect the lifts, would be relatively high. The time the lifts would be out of service is also high, as the riblet lift inspection would require the lift to be out of commission during part of the ski season, which could also cause the resort to lose money. This would also be a high-maintenance option, as it would require manpower to inspect the lift. More frequent inspections, however, could really improve the safety perception of the lifts being inspected, as long as it is clear that they are routinely inspected and that the inspections are not in response to an incident. However, this is sort of a double-edged sword, as it could in some ways create more mistrust towards the lifts that are not using the riblet clip assembly and thus are not being inspected frequently. Our next option is simply doing nothing. For the option of simply doing nothing, the short-term costs are unsurprisingly very low. However, I feel that if incidents like the ones that occurred this past ski season continue to occur, associated lawsuits and potentially mistrust of ski lifts as a whole, driving away customers, could really make this option somewhat expensive in the long term. For this option, the service time is also a mid-level, as if more chairs fall, the lifts will need to close for reinspection more often. This would also be a pretty low-maintenance option, however, as not much would need to be done except for potentially reactionary repairs. However, the big problem with this option is the safety perception, and of course the lack of safety improvement overall. My main source for this argument is my own opinion, because if nothing is done to prevent future accidents, I will not be inclined to get on another one of these lifts that combine the riblet clip and the arch design. As I mentioned, I did see the chair fall, so I recognize that not everyone might have such a strong aversion to getting back on one of these lifts. So, in short, there are benefits and drawbacks for all of these options. I feel that the best option, based on these metrics, is increasing the inspection frequency. This very likely could effectively prevent accidents like the one that occurred at Indian Head and the one that occurred at 49 degrees north, as inspections may have caught the faulty clip or the missing or breaking cotter pin before the accidents occurred. This is a pretty central part of why I believe that this is the best option, as when compared to redesigning the center pole halo, it will apply to any riblet clip system, whereas redesigning the pole halo may just be preventative in the cases where the arch chair features are used. The low short-term costs will also likely make this a much easier sell for ski resorts who probably don't want to shell out a bunch of money to redesign the center pole halos on some of their lifts. Especially when compared to the option of doing nothing, I believe that this option will also make riders feel way safer on the lifts. Thus, I feel that this is the most advantageous choice. To recap what I talked about today, I first shared the problem statement of preventing future chairlift failures where the chair comes detached from the cable. Then I described the riblet clip system as a whole. Next, I discussed the three options of redesigning the center pole halo, increasing inspection frequency, and finally, doing nothing. And I came to the conclusion that increasing inspection frequency is the best option, with respect to both financial feasibility and public perception. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will now be available for questions live.